Today we explore one of the most significant events of the 20th century, the fall of the Berlin Wall and the reunification of Germany. The Berlin Wall, a symbol of division, came down in 1989, marking the end of the Cold War and changing the course of history. For over 28 years, the wall stood as a powerful reminder of the ideological divide between the communist East and the democratic West. But on November 9, 1989, the world witnessed a momentous event. The wall that divided families, friends, and a nation crumbled, paving the way for reunification. Before diving into the events, let's set the stage. The Berlin Wall was erected in 1961 during the height of the Cold War to prevent East Germans from fleeing to the West. Its construction was a response to the growing number of East Germans escaping to the West through Berlin, seeking better opportunities and freedom. For nearly 3 decades, the wall separated families and friends. On one side, the communist East German government, supported by the Soviet Union, enforced strict border controls. On the other side, West Berlin, a democratic island surrounded by East Germany, symbolized freedom and prosperity. The wall was not just a physical barrier. It was a symbol of the broader ideological conflict between communism and democracy. While the people of East Germany lived under oppressive rule, those in the West enjoyed the benefits of a free market economy and political freedom. But by the late 1980s, things began to change. Economic difficulties and political unrest within the Eastern Bloc were starting to take their toll. The Soviet Union, under the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev, had begun to shift its stance with policies of glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring. These reforms allowed for greater political freedom and transparency, both in the Soviet Union and its satellite states. In East Germany, the government struggled to maintain control. Citizens were becoming increasingly disillusioned with the regime, and protests began to grow. The year 1989 was pivotal, as mass demonstrations in cities like Leipzig called for greater freedom and reform. Then came the unexpected moment. On November 9, 1989, a press conference by a government spokesperson led to confusion over new travel regulations. People, unsure about the details, thought the border was being opened. This triggered a rush of East Berliners to the Berlin Wall, where they were met by border guards who, caught off guard, opened the gates. Thousands of East Germans flooded into West Berlin that night, celebrating the end of their oppression. The excitement was palpable, as families were reunited, and the wall that had divided them for so long was finally being dismantled. The fall of the Berlin Wall was not only a victory for the people of Germany, but also a symbolic defeat for the Soviet-backed communist regime. Following the wall's fall, both East and West Germany began the complex process of reunification. The reunification was a monumental task that involved integrating 2 very different political, economic, and social systems. West Germany, with its thriving capitalist economy, had a much higher standard of living than East Germany, which had been struggling under the command economy of the Soviet-backed regime. The German government, led by Chancellor Helmut Kohl, worked tirelessly to navigate the reunification process. The economic and logistical challenges were immense, but the desire for a unified Germany was strong. By October 3, 1990, just under a year after the fall of the wall, East and West Germany were officially reunited. This moment marked the end of the division that had plagued Germany since the end of World War II. It also signified the end of the Cold War and the collapse of communism in Central and Eastern Europe. The reunification of Germany set the stage for the expansion of the European Union and NATO, as former Eastern Bloc countries sought to align themselves with the West. However, the reunification process was not without its challenges. While the West had the resources and the infrastructure to support reunification, East Germany faced high unemployment, economic restructuring, and social integration issues. Many East Germans, especially the older generations, struggled to adapt to the new capitalist system. The unification also came with political and social challenges. The Soviet Union, which had long exerted control over Eastern Europe, was in the midst of its own transformation. As Gorbachev's reforms unfolded, Eastern European countries began to move away from Soviet influence, with Poland, Hungary, and Czechoslovakia following suit. The fall of the Berlin Wall symbolized the weakening of Soviet control in the region. But the reunification of Germany didn't just have implications for Europe. It also marked the end of the Cold War, a decades-long geopolitical struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union. With the fall of communism in Eastern Europe and the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, the Cold War came to a definitive close. Today, Germany stands as a powerful, united nation at the heart of Europe. The country has flourished economically and politically since reunification, but the journey has not been without its challenges. The economic disparities between the former East and West remain to some extent, but the country has made great strides in bridging the gap. In conclusion, the fall of the Berlin Wall and the subsequent reunification of Germany was a defining moment in modern history. It represented the triumph of freedom over oppression, the end of a divided Europe, and the beginning of a new chapter for Germany and the world. As we reflect on this momentous event, we are reminded of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of peaceful revolution. The fall of the Berlin Wall continues to inspire movements for freedom and unity around the globe, proving that even the most entrenched barriers can be broken down with determination, hope, and a collective will for change. Thank you for joining us on this historical journey. The fall of the Berlin Wall was not just the end of a wall, it was the end of an era and the beginning of a new world order.